is a completely silent event. If anyone is making noise or talking, you will be asked to leave. You'll be tapped on the shoulder and asked to leave. So teachers, if you see anybody doing that, disruptive, tap them on the shoulder and we're taking them out. Okay? You have to be respectful. It's very scary to be up here, and they deserve your silence and your respect. So, welcome to our 2017 Spelling Bee here. We have 8 spellers. They are from 4th, 5th, and 6th grade. Now, these students have been selected because they are the top spellers in their class. They have had maybe 100% on their spelling words each week. They've been the winners of the spelling bees over the last few months, so that is why they have been selected. They have each been given the word list on the same day, so they have the exact same words that will be given today. They've studied very hard for this. We had a mock spelling bee yesterday, so they understand the rules and the format and what we do here. So they are all understanding that. They know what to do. Some rules for the audience. Number 1, like I said, completely silent. Number 2. Good, we're practicing, right? Okay, so number 1, completely silent. Number 2, we do not cheer until the end of a round. So what will happen is each student will come forward. Mr. Talukder, our spelling master, will give the word and a sentence. They will say that word. Every student, whether they get it correct or not, will go back to their seats. They have all selected these seats by drawing numbers this morning, so everything is equal and fair. After every student has spelled, that is the end of a round. That's when we will applaud for everyone, okay? Those students that might have made a mistake and aren't going to the next round will pull their chairs forward and they are out of the next round. The remaining students will stay here until we finish the spelling bee. We will have first place, second place, and third place. And the first place winner goes on to the next level. And hopefully, maybe, all the way to the final national spelling bee. That would be awesome. All right, so right now, let's give applause for all of our participants. All right, we are going to get silent and we are going to begin with a practice round. The practice round will be spelling your first name to get your jitters out, okay? So you'll come up, you'll spell your first name when Mr. Talukder addresses you. We also have Miss Rodriguez. She is going to write down every letter that you say. I will be doing that as well and keeping track of the rounds. And then we have Miss Stoll, the timekeeper. As you know, you have 30 seconds to complete the word. All right.
Aaliyah, step forward. Please spell your name.
Aaliyah, Aaliyah.
Thank you. Trey, please come forward.
Shrek. T-R-E. Shrek.
Thank you.
You may move that down if you need to, okay? You can adjust that.
Marsal.
Mursal, M-U-R-S-A-L, Mursal.
Thank you. Najib.
Najib, N-A-J-I-B, Najib.
Thank you. Alhamis.
Alhamis, A-L-H-A-M-I-S, Alhamis.
Thank you. Demarius. Sorry.
D-A-M-A-R-I-S.
Thank you. Vanessa.
Vanessa. V-A-N-E-S-S-A. Vanessa.
Thank you. Bilali.
Citlali. Citlally. Citlali.
Okay, we will begin round 1.
Your word is bus. I take the bus to school every morning. Bus.
Bus. B-U-S. Bus.
Thank you. Your word is mad. I get mad when things don't work out.
Mad. M-A-D. Mad.
Thank you. Your word is row. I row the boat.
Row. R-O-W. Row.
Thank you. The word is fit. It was the perfect fit.
Fit. F-I-T. Fit.
Thank you. Your word is job. I get a job every morning. Job.
Job. J-O-B. Job.
Thank you. Your word is spy. You see the spy in the movie.
Spy. S-P-Y. Spy.
The word is dots. The dress had dots.
Dots. D-O-T-S. Dots.
Thank you. The word is ship. They traveled on a ship.
Ship. S-H-I-P. Ship.
Thank you.
That is the end of round 1. You may applaud. Okay, 3rd grade, thank you for coming and experiencing the spelling bee. You may go back to class. Thank you, 3rd grade. Okay, we are moving on to round 2. Parents, you may have a seat. Welcome. Okay, round 2. Silence. Thank you.
All right. Your word is rang. We rang the doorbell.
Ring. R-A-N-G. Ring.
Thank you. Your word is wash. We wash the clothes.
Wash. W-A-S-H. Wash.
Thank you. Your word is lost. We got lost in the woods.
Lost. L-O-S-T. Lost.
Thank you. Your word is nose. We all have a nose.
Nose. N-O-S-E. Nose.
Thank you. Your word is pages. The book had 100 pages.
Pages. P-A-G-E-S. Pages.
Thank you. Your word is wear. We wear clothes.
Where? W-E-A-R. Where?
Thank you. Your word is grain. The bread is made of grain.
Grain. G-R-A-N. Grain.
I'm sorry. Your word is chance. We took a chance.
Chance. C-H-A-N-C-E.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of round 2. All right, round 3.
Your word is branch. The tree has more than one branch.
Branch. B-R-A-N-C-H. Branch.
Thank you. Your word is thumbs. Each hand has a thumb.
Thumb. T-H-U-M-B. Thumb.
Thank you. Your word is shopping. We go shopping on the weekend.
Shopping. S-H-O-P-P-I-N-G. Shopping.
Thank you. Your word is interact. We interact with each other every day.
Interact. I-N-T-R-A-C-T. Interact.
No, I'm sorry. Your word is darkest. It was darkest before the dawn.
Darkest. D-A-R-K-E-S-T. Darkest.
Thank you. Your word is married. When we get older, we get married.
Married. M-A-R-R-I-E-D. Married.
Thank you. Your word is beginning. Every story has a beginning.
B-E-G-I-N-G.
No, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, that is the end of round 3. All right, here we go. Round 4.
Your word is prevented. We prevented the disaster.
Prevented. P-R-E-V-E-N-T-E-D. Prevented.
Thank you. Your word is monkeys. The zoo had monkeys.
Monkeys. M-O-N-K-E-Y-S. Monkeys.
Thank you. Your word is studio. The apartment was a studio.
Studio. S-U-T-D-I-O. Studio.
No, I'm sorry. Your word is observe. We observe each other.
Observe. O-B-S-E-R-V-E. Observe.
Thank you. Your word is teaspoon.
Teaspoon. T-E-A-S-P-O-O-N. Teaspoon.
Thank you.
All right, that is the end of round 4. No, thank you, Gilbert. All right, here we go. Everybody take a breath. Make it rain. All right, round 5. Round 5, please.
Your word is nonsense. We will not tolerate nonsense.
Nonsense. Nonsense. Nonsense.
Thank you. Your word is mansion. The house was a mansion.
Mansion. M-A-N-S-I-O-N. Mansion.
Thank you. Your word is voyage. We took a voyage.
Voyage. V-O-Y-A-G-E. Voyage.
Thank you. Your word is biology. We study biology in school.
Biology. B-I-O-L-O-G-Y. Biology.
Thank you.
That is the end of round 5. Okay, round 6.
Your word is dignified. We were dignified in our approach.
Dignified. D-I-G-N-I-F-I-E-D. Dignified.
Thank you. Your word is delicate. It was a delicate process.
Delicate. D-E-L-I-C-A-T-E. Delicate.
Thank you. Your word is dimension. We traveled to an alternate dimension.
Dimension. D-E-M-E-N. S-I-O-N. Dimension.
No, I'm sorry. Your word is marooned. We were marooned on the island.
M-O-O-R-O-N.
No, I'm sorry.
That is the end of round 6. Okay, we're moving into round 7. However, we have a first and second place winner up there, so we have to do third place, which would be between Alamis and Damaris. So we're going to give you one word each to see where you would fall in third place. Okay, so let's have Alamis.
Your word is quashed. We quashed the rumor.
Quashed. Q-U-A-S-H-E-D. Quashed.
Thank you. Your word is microscope. We looked at it under the microscope.
Microscope. M-I-C-R-O-S-C-O-P-E. Microscope.
Thank you.
Alamis.
Okay. Your word is diligent. We were diligent in our approach.
Diligent. D-I-L-L-I-G-E-N-T. D-I-G-N-T, diligent.
No, I'm sorry. Your word is unappealing. The situation was unappealing.
Unappealing. U-N-A-P-E-A-L-I-N-G.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, we have to do that again, Alamis.
Your word is precursor. It was precursor to the event.
Precursor. P-R-E-C-U-R-S-E-R. Precursor.
No, I'm sorry. Your word is forfeit. The contest was forfeit.
F-O-R-F-E-I-T.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, we are moving into round 7.
Your word is armadillo. The animal was an armadillo.
Armadillo. A-R-M-A-D-I-L-L-O. Armadillo.
Thank you. Your word is emperor. He was emperor of the land.
Emperor. E-M-P-E-R-E-R.
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, that is the end of round 7. All right, now we can cheer wildly for everybody. And you were an excellent audience. You see how tense it is and intense, right? They did a fabulous job. Now, before we give our awards, we're making our certificates for first and second and third place right now. Before we do that, there's one last rule. Today and the rest of the year, do not bully any of our spelling bee participants. You might think it was an easy word. You might be able to spell that word they received, but I'm telling you from my own experience, you might know how to spell apple And then you get up here, and suddenly, with everyone watching you, and you're sweating, and you're scared, apple becomes banana, and you have no idea how to spell it. Okay, so you are only going to encourage our spelling bee participants, right? You're not going to say, hey, you're not going to bully. You are going to encourage them. Everyone makes mistakes, and they have next year, and everybody, I think, did a fabulous job. Those words are tough. So one more round of applause, please. And also, you should know those words were pre-selected by a third-party teacher that's not part of the spelling bee, so that it was fair for everybody. Those aren't words that Mr. Tulukter chose, or I chose, or any of our judges. Those are words that another teacher chose without knowing the order, okay? I'd like my student council president and vice president to come up. Please, let's give them applause. They've been working really hard this year. They are going to be presenting certificates to all of you for participating, and then we will get certificates for our final top 3 winners.
Rasa Ahmed. Damaris Cruz. Dre Farmer. Sit Lolly. Al-Khamis. Najib. Elias Sergi. Vanessa Serrana. Third place winner, Damaris.
We are printing your certificate. Can you see there? Second place.
Second place winner is Trey Farmer. First place winner is Elias Sergi. Thank you for coming.
My name is Captain Bob. Good morning, everybody. It's great to be here. I really enjoy, I grew up here in the Antelope Valley, actually, and my dad worked for NASA out at Edwards Air Force Base. And there's a man I met one time. He was more interested in, actually, when he was young, about your age, he was more interested in flying an airplane than he was driving a car. So he got his pilot's license before he got his driver's license. And later on, he was hired by the Navy to fly jets off aircraft carriers. And he flew a lot of jets. And then later he worked up here at Edwards Air Force Base, and he flew rocket planes that went all the way to the edge of space and back down again, right here in the valley. And it landed on a runway. Well, later on, he was chosen to be an astronaut, and he became the first man to walk on the moon. His name was Neil Armstrong, and he used to live right here where you live in the Antelope Valley. This is where he spent a lot of his time. He loved the Antelope Valley. So you guys kind of live in a special place. They built, all the space shuttles. They built those right here in Palmdale. And now, I don't know if you've been down to the California Science Center, but they have you? But they have the real space shuttle down there, the Endeavour, that you can go down and see. And a lot of other things, too, that we're going to talk about today. And, you know, when I talk about rockets and robots, I like to use a lot of models. Like on this. This is a model of a rocket. The very first rockets that worked really well look like this. Now, back during World War II, Germany built a lot of rockets like this. They were really big, and they used them as weapons. They put a bomb on the top and shoot them off. They come down and blow up. Well, at the end of the war, luckily, the United States and Russia got together, and we found all these rockets and stopped Germany. And then we took a lot of rockets back to the United States, and Russia took a lot of rockets back to Russia. And we started what was called a space race to see who could get a rocket all the way into space first. Now, the rockets like this were about 3 stories tall. And what they finally did was they got into a big race to get into space, and we'll talk about that. And later on, they went all the way to the moon. Now, to do that, you would need a bigger rocket than this. And behind this piece of cardboard, I have an even bigger model of a rocket that I can show you. I'm going to turn this sound down a tad. There we go. And we're going to show you what that looked like. And then later on, you'd think going to the moon would be as simple as climbing into a rocket, blasting off, going all the way to the moon, come down and land, get out, run around, do what you had to do there, get back inside, blast off and come back to the Earth and land and go home. Well, going to the moon was a lot more complicated than that, and I think a lot more fun and interesting too. So we'll talk about that. Then over here I have this. This is what I call my golden pyramid. And what that is a box, basically. I wanted to show you how they sent robots all the way to Mars. And to do that, I had to make this myself. A lot of things you'll see up here I made myself. Some they don't sell at a store. You can't buy them, so you have to make it. Now, I just looked at a bunch of pictures to see how this went together. And the real box, by the way, isn't small like this. It's about as tall as I am. And the thing is that they had to send the robot all the way to Mars. So when they put it inside here and got it to Mars, and after it landed, it had to let the robot out. So first one door opened like this, and then the next door, and then finally the third. And inside was a robot. Now the robot, it was like a small car. It was a rover. It had wheels on it so it could drive off onto Mars to start exploring. Well, it turned out that robot was a little too big to fit inside this box. So I'll show you the robot at the end of the show, and I'll show you how they got it to fit in this strange looking box. But before we start, we'll have some fun. Right now above us, about 200 miles above us up in space, they built what they call the International Space Station. What that is, it's a huge laboratory up in space. Now when I say huge, it is. It's about as big as a football field in space. And there's 6 people who live on it, and they travel around the world every hour and a half. They go about 18,000 miles an hour. Now on the space station, if you're going to live up there, what's one of the things might be kind of important to have while you're up there in space to help you live? Any ideas? Yes. Oxygen, that'd be number 1, I would think. So they put a lot of oxygen in rockets and took them up there. What else might be good? Yes. Food? You bet. They have hot dogs and hamburgers and tacos and M&Ms and all kinds of good stuff up there. Let's see, what's one more thing you might need? Yeah, how about you? No? What is it? Water. Right. You're going to get pretty thirsty eating all that food. So they need air and food and water. But you know what? There's one thing they couldn't get all the way up to the space station. It was too big to fit on a rocket. Any idea what that might be? Well, the house actually is the International Space Station where they live. That is their house up in space. Yes. Well, they don't need beds up there. We'll talk about that in just a minute. What do you think? Too big to fit on a rocket. What is it? No, this is really kind of the vehicle in space. They use rockets to go up there. Yes, how about you? Well, not a family. You can't really take their family up there unless they're also astronauts. That'd be another thing to do, too. I'll give you a clue. It's what's holding you in your chairs right now. Gravity. Good old gravity. You know, up in space, if you're going to go up to space, let's pretend right now all of us are going up to the space station tonight. And let's say if we're going up there, all of us are going to sleep on the ceiling. Well, you might think that without gravity, you could probably jump pretty easy, and you could. But because your legs are so powerful, because you grew up in all this gravity, if you tried to jump, you just zoom right up to the ceiling and bang your head on the ceiling. It probably bounce up and down for a while, you know, like a yo-yo. But the thing is, the easiest way to get from the floor to the ceiling in space is to use your finger. Just put your finger on the floor and give it a little push, and you'll just float all the way up to the ceiling. And if you're going to sleep up there, you don't need beds, you need a sleeping bag. So you get your sleeping bag, wrap it up on your arm, push it off the floor with your finger, and you and your sleeping bag will float all the way up to the ceiling. And then you unwrap the sleeping bag and stick it on the ceiling like with Velcro. And then you unzip the end of the sleeping bag, and then you just float into the sleeping bag, and then zip it up and go to sleep. Now in the morning when you wake up, you might be dreaming that you're back here on Earth in your own bed. You might be dreaming that you've got, oh, I've got to school tomorrow, and I've got that yard work I have to do, and then you remember, wait a minute, I'm in space. That means I can fly like Superman, right? So that's what you do. You push out of the sleeping bag, and you start floating across the room, and you start doing somersaults in the air, and you're not going to fall, right? Because there's no gravity. And the thing is, even working in space is kind of fun, because on a wall over there would be all your computers. So you push off the sleeping bag and fly across the room over to this wall and start typing on your computer. Or you can take the computer off the wall, hold it out in front of you, and let it go. And that computer will just float there right in the middle of the air. It's not going to fall, and if you want to type on it, just push off with your toes, you'll float up to the keyboard and start typing on it while you're floating around the room, getting all your work done, which I think would be a great way to do homework, right? So you put it back on a wall, and now you're getting a little hungry. Well, on the wall over there would be all your food. So you push off this wall and fly across the room. I was going to say like Superman, but actually a lot of women work in space now too. So many fly across like Supergirl or Wonder Woman over this side. And then open a door and reach inside and pull out a banana and peel down the banana and eat it all up. And then with the banana peel that's left, you hold it out in front of you and you give it a spin. And that banana peel will just keep going around and around in a circle. And if you want it to go to the ceiling, just give it a tap, and it'll float all the way up to the ceiling. But the thing is, you don't want to leave that banana peel floating around, because let's say, since you're in space, NASA wants you to do a lot of work while you're up there for a week. So they have you enter a lot of information in your computer. All week long, you've been entering data in there, getting all this in, really been tough. And on Friday, you have to hit the send button to send all that information down to NASA on Earth. And just as you're about to hit that send button, that old banana peel you forgot about comes floating over, sticks to the side of your face. Instead of hitting send, you hit delete. That would be a very bad day. But that's what it's like to be in space. It's a lot of fun. But I've got a question for you. I have a question. Before people had rockets and robots, what was the first thing people made? Think about this. First thing people made that could fly in the air. What was the first thing people made that could fly in the air? I would think airplanes, but way before airplanes. How about you? We're going to talk about that, a hot air balloon. We'll talk about that. That took people up in the air for the first time. But the first time the thing people made that could fly in the air was what? What do you think? Not a helicopter. What is it? Well, yeah, paper. But what did it look like? It looked like an airplane to me. Yes, a kite. Right, you had it. Kites were the first thing people... This is a little baby kite I bring with me to assemblies like this. But after that, who said hot air balloon? That was over here. You did. Now, hot air balloons were the first thing that took people into the air. There were two brothers over in France. They were called the Montgolfier brothers, and they worked at a paper factory. And what they did, they built this big paper balloon. And they built a big fire on the floor and filled it with hot air. And they got a duck, a sheep, and a chicken, and put them on a board under the balloon, and then let it go. And the hot air balloon took the duck, the sheep, and the chicken about 500 feet into the air. And when it cooled down, it landed in a farmer's field. Now this is true. The farmer thought it was a monster coming out of the sky. So he ran home and he got a big pitchfork and he was about to start killing the monster, you know, and they had to stop him and say, no, that's not a monster, that's just a piece of paper, you know. But if something's brand new, it can be a little scary. Now, I wanted to show, I get a nice big paper balloon in here and build a big fire on the floor to fill it up, but I know that's not a good idea to build a big fire in here. It'd be a short assembly if I did that. But I need 2 volunteers to help me out with something. Let's see what we got. How about you in the gray jacket there? And how about you? Come on up. Okay, now, yeah, actually, you guys switch places. Okay, good. Now we're going to do a little something here. Instead of a big paper balloon, I have something even more fantastic than that. I have a plastic trash bag. Now we're going to see if we can make this thing fly, okay? Well, why don't you hold on to that end just gently. There you go. And you hold on to this end. Whoopsie daisy, this is kind of stuck here. Just hold on to that end just gently, like that. Okay. Now to fill it up, I have a top secret piece of equipment that I use that you guys have never seen before. You know, I always think I can fool somebody with that, but it never works. Yes, it's a hairdryer is what it is. How many of you have a hairdryer at home, by the way? You put your hands down. You guys, you know, if you pay attention, you guys might be able to do this at home too. Why don't you walk that way just a tad? There we go. Now take the hairdryer. You can let go of this. Just take the hairdryer. Now don't put the end of it right inside there. Don't turn it on yet. Now what we're going to do is this. In a minute we're going to turn this on. And it'll fill up. And by the way, when this fills up, it's not going to look like a nice round balloon. It's going to look more like a long hot dog by the time I'm done over here. It's the best I can do. Okay, now when this fills up, I'm going to have you, I'll ask you to let it go. And then if you can help me kind of stand it up like this, and you come over and put your hands gently on both sides of it. Kind of keep it steady so it doesn't fall over, okay? All right, now, I want you to slide that up 1 notch. There we go. Now it's starting to fill up. It's starting to look like that hot dog shape. Now you and me, let's get on the floor down here. Okay, now why don't you let go of that end and come over here. Right, just kind of keep it there like that. Okay, now I'm filling it up with more hot air. Okay, the count of 3, we'll let it go. 1, 2, 3, let it go. I think it'll come down. Okay, now I want you to do this. Come over here. No, come here. Push it up in the air. You let it land on your head. Don't touch it, though. And take a look at where it is, though. Get under it. You want to try it? Okay, here we go. Look where it is. Get under it. Let's give him a hand for helping out. Thank you, guys. By the way, a quick question. Why does a hot air balloon go up?
Gravity. The fire.
Hot air, but why does it go up? Hot air is lighter than
Cold air.
the cold air. And cold air is on the floor, so the hot air wants to go above the cold air. That's why a hot air balloon works. Now I have another question for you. When you go outside at night and you look up in the sky, what do you see? Stars. What's the biggest thing you see at night? The moon. Now ever since people have seen the moon, they wondered what it was. Some people thought it was a giant's eye in the sky. Other people thought it was maybe green cheese or something. You know, they didn't know what it was. But you couldn't use kites to get there, right? You couldn't use hot air balloons or airplanes. You had to use rockets. Now, like I said, the first rockets ever made looked like this, but they're about 3 stories tall. So what Russia did was they got a rocket to work really good, and they blasted it off, and then it turned around and came down and blew up on the ground. We had a rocket in the United States and it looked really good. We blasted that off and then it spun around and blew up in the air. It was a pretty expensive firework is what it was. Well, finally, Russia got a rocket to work really well. And they put a satellite in the rocket. Now the satellite was just a round silver ball called Sputnik. They put that in the rocket and blasted that all the way into space. That was the first thing to go into space, was a satellite. And it went around the Earth and came down. Well, we wanted to stay up with Russia because they were ahead of us, so we put a satellite in our rocket and shot that up there. Well, Russia wanted to stay ahead of us, so they put a dog in a rocket. And they gave the dog air and food and water and sent the dog into space. And the dog went around the Earth and came down. Well, we wanted to stay up with Russia, so we put a monkey in a rocket. And we blasted the monkey into space. And it went around the Earth and came down. Now, why were we sending animals into space? Why were we doing that? How about you? Right, exactly. If animals could survive in space, that meant that humans might be able to as well. So Russia put a man in a rocket. His name was Yuri Gagarin. But his name is Yuri Gagarin. They sent him into space. Well, he went around the Earth and came down. Well, we wanted to stay up with Russia, so we put a man in our rocket and sent him into space. Well, Russia wanted to stay ahead of us, so they put 2 people in the rocket and sent them up there. We wanted to stay up with them, so we put 2 people in our rocket and sent them up there too. What do you think Russia did next?
3 people.
Right, 3 people, including the first woman to go into space. And they sent all 3 of them into space. And they went around the Earth and came down. Well, we had a president back then. His name was John F. Kennedy. And what he said was, you know what? Instead of just sending people around the Earth, let's do something really scary. He said, let's see if we can send someone on a rocket all the way to the moon, land them on the moon, and then bring them safely back to the Earth. Well, everybody thought that was a great idea, but nobody knew exactly how to do it because our rockets weren't tall enough. So we started building taller and taller rockets until we finally built the biggest rocket ever made. And this is my model of what that rocket looked like. Now this was called the Apollo Saturn V rocket. Now it was really tall. Let me give you an idea of how tall it was. The room we're in right now is 1 story tall. If you put another room on top of that, that's 2 stories. Another one would be 3. Let's say we kept doing it until we had 10 buildings going straight up in the air. That would only come up to here on this rocket. You would have to put 10 more buildings on those 10 buildings, a 20-story building. That would only come up to here. You would have to put another 10 buildings on those 20, a 30-story skyscraper. That would only come up to here. Right, you'd have to put 10 more buildings on those 30 buildings, a 40-story building to get all the way to the top of this rocket. Now let me show you the bottom of it. You notice it has 5 big rocket engines in the bottom? Well, that's where all the fire would come out. So I'm going to talk about the first time people ever landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins got inside an elevator, rode it all the way to the top. They walked across and got inside this gold top up here. Then all the fire started coming out the bottom, and this started to blast off. This got up to about 1,000 miles an hour going straight up. Then all the gas in this part ran out. So they pushed a button and that part fell off. And that fell down into the ocean and sank to the bottom, and that was never seen again. But on the bottom of this are 5 more rocket engines. And they started pushing this even higher and faster. This got up to 10,000 miles an hour going straight up. Now at that point, all the gas in this part ran out. So they pushed a button and that part fell off. And that fell into the ocean and sank to the bottom, and that was never seen again. But there's 1 rocket left, and that was just enough to push them all the way into space. They've been around the Earth 1 time, and now it was time to go to the moon. So they fired this rocket, and it pushed them away from the Earth toward the moon at 25,000 miles an hour. Now at that speed, it still took 3 days to get all the way out to the moon. Now when it got there, you would think with the fire coming out here, it would come down and land like this. Only problem is, no legs on it. So it would just wobble around and fall over. So that wasn't going to work. And they sure didn't come down and sort of just bounce along the moon to a stop like this. That would tear it up pretty bad. And with 3 people on top, you don't want it coming in like this either. The thing is, they landed on the moon, but nothing you see here ever touched the moon. Let me show you how that part works. As this was going toward the moon, the very front of it, where the people were, came apart.
What?
There was a rocket in the back of this, too.
Oh my God.
But that's not the cool thing. When it got just so far apart, this turned around and came back to the smaller part, the bigger part. This had doors on the top that could open like a flower. Inside is what they needed, so they came in very close and they connected with what was inside and then very gently pulled it out. That was called the lunar module. It had 4 legs and its own rocket in it. This part was empty. It just drifted off into space. It was never, ever seen again. But now this is a little small, I know, especially for you in the back. I love making models, so I made a bigger model of this. Would you like to see that?
Yes. We can't see in the back. Yeah.
Remember how small that is, right? It's a little easier to see. Now, as this was traveling toward the moon, they had to slow down, otherwise they go right past the moon. So they fired this big rocket, and that slowed them down just enough for the moon's gravity to catch them. And they went around and around the moon. And then Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin went up a tunnel between the gold part and the lunar module. When they got inside, they closed the door, and then this separated, and that started to go down to land on the moon. This part stayed up in space. Michael Collins was on board running all the computers, and this just kept going around and around the moon. That was important because this was a ride back to Earth. We'll get back to that in just a second. Now, as this was coming down to land, they had 2 problems. One was there was only 3 minutes of gas in the bottom. If it didn't land in 3 minutes, the gas would run out, the rocket would stop working, and this would fall the rest of the way and crash into the moon. The other thing was they had a computer on board that was telling it to land in just the right place, but it turned out the computer had the wrong information. Instead, it was coming down into a big crater on the moon filled with rocks and boulders. Now, if this had come down and let's say one of those legs hit a rock, it would have tipped the whole thing over and it would have crashed. Well, Neil Armstrong had a window and he saw that crater, didn't like what he saw, so he took over control from the computer and started flying to a different place to land. But he was running out of gas. He started with 3 minutes, now it was down to just 2 minutes of gas. And he kept looking for a place to land, but he was just flying over more craters and rocks and boulders. It was very dangerous. He got down to 1 minute's worth of gas. And then in the distance, he saw sort of a smooth area where he might be able to land. He started coming down very slowly. It got down to 40 seconds of gas, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and then with just 15 seconds of gas left, he was able to land this very gently on the surface of the moon. He made it. Now the thing was, he didn't want to just stay inside and look out the windows. He wanted to go outside and run around a little bit, you know. The thing is, of course, there's no air on the moon, so they had to have their spacesuits on, which they put on. They went out a little door on the front of this. They had to crawl out backwards on their hands and knees. It was so small. And they went down a ladder that's on the front legs and stepped on the moon for the very first time. And that's when Neil Armstrong said the famous words, that's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Because nobody in history had ever been to the moon. And then he set up experiments. He put the American flag on the moon to show everybody we got there before Russia did. And then also, they brought 2 empty boxes onto the moon. Now, why would they bring 2 empty boxes all the way from the Earth to the moon? How about you? To take something back. What would they take back? How about you? Moon rocks, right? Moon rocks. Because nobody ever had seen moon rocks. So they filled up those boxes full. They brought it back up inside. The people went in, and now it's time to blast off. But guess what? No gas left. So they still stuck on the moon? I would think they'd be stuck, but I did get to meet Neil Armstrong after he came back to the Earth, so I know he made it home. And this is how that worked. When it got down to 3, 2, 1, blast off, the top part blasted.
I knew it! I knew it! I knew it!
There was a rocket at the bottom of that.
I told you that! I knew it!
So this blasted up into space, and this part stayed behind on the moon. And this is still sitting on the moon today. There were actually 6 of these on the moon because we landed there 6 different times. And the last 3 times they landed, they brought an electric car with them. And those 3 electric cars are still sitting on the moon. So this blasted into space. Now remember, we had a friend, he was going around the moon up here. They had just enough gas to get up to where he was. They brought their ships carefully together. And then the people in the moon rocks went back over to the gold part. This was empty, they didn't need it. So they pushed a button and that popped off and fell down and crashed into the moon. And that was never seen again. But now it was time to go home. So they fired that big rocket and pushed them away from the moon all the way back to the Earth. It took 3 days to get back. And just before it landed, it fell apart one more time.
Rocket again!
The very top of this came off.
Oh, it landed on the ocean!
This part was empty. It fell down through the air of the Earth. It burned up and was never, ever seen again.
Oh, yeah!
But this was coming in through the air of the Earth super fast. It got red hot on the bottom. It looked like a meteor going through the sky. And when it finally slowed down just enough, 3 big parachutes came out the top. And this was able to float down through the air until it landed in the ocean. And this was made to float on water like a boat. Nearby was a big ship. The ship had a helicopter which flew over, lowered down the ladder, brought up the people in the moon rocks into the helicopter, took them safely back to the ship, and then it also picked up the space capsule and put it on board too, and took them back to the United States. Now you know the California Science Center that has the shuttle Endeavour also has a full-size real space shuttle, moon rocket. It's there. You can walk up and look inside and see how the astronauts sat inside of that as well. But now I want to talk about robots. Is that okay? Remember this, right? Remember how that opened up? Yeah, the thing is, my microphone went out, so I have to yell a little louder. So if everybody be kind of quiet, it would help me a little bit with my throat. This is what the robot looked like. It kind of looked like Wall-E just a little bit, but you notice it has blue panels, solar panels, and on the bottom it has 6 wheels so it can drive around on Mars. Now let me show you this. They went to close the doors, but you see the doors don't close. It's too big. So they had to fold it up a little bit. This part here is a neck and a head. The head had cameras so it could look around to see where it is. Well, they folded the neck and head back like this. Then they folded this solar panel in like that. They folded this solar panel in like that. And then they could go ahead and close. I think I have to fold it up a little bit more. Yeah, here we go. They folded up the back end like this. Yeah, so they could go ahead and fold that door closed, and then they could go ahead and close. I think I have a little more folding to do still. Oh yeah. They folded up this solar door again like that, so they could get this big door closed, and then finally close it. You're right, we had to fold up the last door to get the last door. And they put this on a rocket. They put this on a rocket. Can everybody hear me? Yes. They put this on a rocket and sent it to Mars. Now, you know what? It takes 3 days to get from the Earth to the moon. If you come from Earth to Mars, it takes 8 months to get there. Now, when this came down through the air of Mars, it didn't have a rocket on the bottom. Instead, it had airbags on every side. So just before it hit, those airbags filled up, so it looked like a giant beach ball. And when it came down, it didn't crash, it bounced. And it bounced on Mars. Finally, it came to a stop. The air was let out of the airbags, and then the robot could open these outer doors by itself on Mars. And then it could also open up these solar panels like this. And once it was all charged up, it could look around to see where it was, send those pictures back to Earth. And then this was told to drive off and start exploring. Now let me tell you about this robot. The robot's name is Opportunity. It was only supposed to last for about 3 months on Mars. The reason is they thought the dust on Mars would collect on top of those solar panels, and it would stop working. Well, it turned out the dust did collect on there, but something happened they didn't expect. A wind came by and blew the dust off. So it drove for another 3 months. And then another wind came by and blew the dust off. So it drove for a year. And the wind kept blowing. So it drove for 2 years. Then it drove for 5 years. Then it drove for 10 years.
Oh my God!
This has been driving on Mars now for 13 years. Right this second, while I'm talking to you, this robot is doing its work on Mars right this second. Now one day it will stop working, we just don't know when. But here's my challenge to you. If you study science and math in school, one day you may become the first man or woman to go to Mars. And if you do, see if you can land your rocket next to that robot. Pick up the robot, put him in your rocket, and bring him back to the Earth. And if you do, have your best friend take a picture of you standing next to that robot. And then I want you to send me, then I want you to email me that picture. And I want you to say, Captain Bob, I want you to say, Captain Bob, remember that show you gave us a long time ago? Well, guess what? I went to Mars and I brought your robot back home. And that'd be one of the best days of my entire life. Now I want to show you something else real quick. I have a lot of students ask me how they can get these. Well, you can go on the internet and you can order these. These are about $40 or something for a big one. But you know what? Your teachers will know how to get to my website, Rockets and Robots. That's the name of my website. And you can print out pages like this for free from my website. It's various pictures that are on here that you cut out. And then if you have toilet paper at home, which I assume you do, and paper towels at home, this is a bobby pin I have on here. You can use a paper clip too, but you can hook those two pieces together like this. And then you can put another one on this side. And the pages you cut out and wrap around this, well, then you'll have a rocket that looks like this. Now the thing is, you may not even want one of these to yourself, but I bet you know like a brother or sister who's a lot younger who would really enjoy having something like this. But take a look at this. I thought it'd be kind of cool if the fire came out the bottom. So instead of real fire, of course, you can, in the kit, you can make this pretend fire I've got just out of paper. So pretend it blasts off and comes down and lands like that. So it's a lot of fun to play with. Now, you can also make something like this for my website, all for free. These are paper towels. It has straws in here for the wheels. The wheels actually turn on this. They don't on my other rover. Solar panel on the top. So you can have fun with that. Now, how many here have a remote control car at home? A lot of you do. Okay, put your hands down.
I don't have any, bro.
What you can do is this. Can everybody hear me? What you can do is when you go home, there are screws in the bottom that hold the top up. Take the screws out, take the top off, make your own Mars rover top, and just glue it or tape it to the top of it and run around the room. You'll have your own Mars rover at home. Now the other thing you can do, and I like to challenge myself from time to time, I like doing stuff like this. I get stuff like, I go to Michael's sometimes, and I get things like styrofoam balls and things like this. They have round ones too. And then I thought it'd be kind of fun if I got something like this, just a piece of paper, and I cut it to about this size, and I wrapped it around like that, you know, and then tape it on here like this. And then I thought it'd be kind of cool if I got something like this. This is just another piece of styrofoam ball like that. And let's say once I tape it together, I can make something you might recognize. This is R2-D2. Well, if you get the right size styrofoam balls, I assume soon on my website, you'll be able to download pages to do this, but I'm going to leave some things with the teachers that they can duplicate for you guys if they want to. And you can make something that looks like this. This is just a styrofoam ball here. Also, can everybody hear me? But also, you see, I made these lasers coming out here. These are, laser shots. But it's just little sticks of wood that I colored green. And then you can print out paper on here to make the front of it the window. And these solar panels you can print out. And I just used toilet paper rolls in here that I cut a little shorter with some things to wrap around that are actual pictures, by the way, of the real TIE fighter. So the thing is, you can have a lot of fun just making things. Now, one thing I like to do is make things on my own. I saw one thing in a movie a while back that I really liked a lot, and I thought I could try to make it. So I worked and worked on it. Finally, I came up with this. The thing is, I want to tell you how to make it, but I can't if I can't talk. This styrofoam top here, this is just a round styrofoam ball I got from Michael's, and I cut it in half and used it for the head. These are two big halves of styrofoam balls that are large or hollow inside. And you see on here, these are orange. This orange here is just orange construction paper I cut out, and I glued it on this. This is just a bottle cap I used for its eye up here. And then I thought it'd be kind of cool if it turned a little bit like that. And then also I put some lights inside so I could light it up a little bit. And then I thought it'd be kind of cool if it could go back and forth, so I made it go back and forth like this.
Everybody knows our
And then I thought it'd be kind of fun if it talked.
I mean,
Now, you have to be
BBA and
so quiet. I don't have my microphone on, otherwise I'd hold it against this, you could hear it better, but I don't. What I did was, when I went to Michael's to buy this stuff, they also had an R2-D2 pencil sharpener that you push a button on it, and it starts doing all the beeps and boops. So I bought it, and I took it home, took it apart, put it inside this instead. So when I push the button inside, you can hear it moving. So actually you can talk. Now the way I made this was, this is a puppet. The back of it, I cut a hole in the back like this, so I can put my hand inside to turn the head. And then I put a slot on the top so I could turn it back and forth like this. So you can make things like this yourself. Now you can buy something like this for probably $200 at a store. But you can make this for about $15 to $20 if you just use your head a little bit and think about it. And you'd be the only person who had one of these, other than me. But the thing is, use your imagination, think about things. Go to my website. I have lots of videos on there that you can watch of astronauts on the space station, of people driving the electric car on the moon, of how the robot landed, and robots and all kinds of interesting stuff. That's the end of the show. You guys were great. Thank you very much.